Hi, I'm Logan Newman of Newman Specials Woodworking. Thanks for buying my MicroJig BenchTopper setup sold by We CNC That. Now this is set up to run or made to run with the MicroJig dovetail clamps. These are great because they slide in this clamp and you can clamp things down and they clamp basically against each other, making it very hard to move and lift things. This is set up to go onto your benchtop. With this setup, you get 3 simple jigs that come with it. These are used for the smaller dovetails. They'll just go in there and you can slide this around and move it around as necessary. You could use 1 or 2 in this setup. We're going to come back to that. You can also make your own jigs for this. Simple to do, lots of uses for this. What I want to do first is show you how I'm going to put this together. Now, with the clamp, with the topper, there are holes that you can then attach the front piece. I'm going to glue and screw it, but I'm going to give you 2 options for what else you can do. Number 1, if you wanted, you could take a hinge, a 24-inch piano hinge would be a good option, and attach it so that this piece can fold down and be put away. Now that might limit your strength and it could affect how it sits on the bench, so you want to look into that, but that's an option. Beyond gluing and screwing this, you can also do dowels, dominoes, or any type of thing that's going to help make it stronger. For me, I'm going to glue and screw it. One of the important pieces is that the front piece is slightly shorter than the top. That's to allow space for clamping. Notice that the grooves go from the top down to the front. That gives you plenty of clamping options. I'm going to put this on the front so that each of the grooves lines up, and I'm going to clamp it in place so that I can drill out the plywood on the bottom. It's really important that you clear out waste so that you don't affect the front of it. It's also important that you don't do that. I am just eyeballing this, but if you wanted, you could measure and set it up that way. After drilling down through the top into the front piece, I came back and I drilled deeper down in so that I could make sure my screws get all the way into that piece. Now I'm going to add my glue. I'm just going to spread it around the top first, make sure I get all the places. Try not to get any glue in the grooves like I just did. And then once I have everything set up, I'm just spreading it. You can use anything you want. I like to use my finger. At this point, it's important to line your pieces up to where they were originally whenever you first drilled your holes. If you line up the grooves from the top to the bottom or the front to the top, however you want to say it, they should all be aligned. Also included in the kit are 4 1.5-inch number 8 screws. These are all countersunk to allow a better surface. Make sure you drive the screws in so that the head is below the countersink so you don't scratch up any pieces, and use longer screws if you want. That's all it takes for assembly, just a couple of minutes, but now you're ready to use it. The corner clamps can be used in many different ways. You can use either the MicroJig clamps or you can use Traxall clamps. They're set up for both. They are in 4 corners, so you can put it down however you want. And if you want in the back, just use a regular clamp. I'm going to clamp the 2 front and the back just because I can. You'll see that in the front, I decided to use just the MicroJig clamp. Now, The nice thing about the MicroJig system is you can put clamps on in any way, including these little pieces. They can go from the front or the side. Notice you can move them side to side into different grooves, however you want to do it. I'm going to put it back there so I have a little bit more space. Here I have an end grain cutting board that I need to flatten. So I'm going to grab my trim router flattening jig, also sold by WeCNC. And you can see that it sits on there, and I can put my trim router on, slide back and forth, and move that out of the way. If I wanted to sand the cutting board, I could use all 3 of the jigs or just 2 of them, whatever I want. Now I can loosen the jigs at the end, take them off or keep it on, whatever I want. Take the cutting board off, and I can put the longer piece on. And notice what's nice about this is I can actually do this at an angle. So I was having a little bit of fun here playing. I can use that angled piece as a stop for planing if I want, or I can put the other 2 pieces on and trap a piece between them and do a little bit more planing. I actually just restored this plane, but I need to do a little bit more work to get it sharp enough to be using like this. However, it's a nice little block plane. Again, I can take these pieces off or leave them on, and now I'm going to try a different configuration. For several years, I've had the MicroJig grooves on the front of my workbench, but I couldn't clamp a piece well enough top and bottom to keep it stable, and now I can. This makes it much easier, and which is really the reason I designed this whole piece, so that we can have both clamps on the front and on the top. Again, one of the things that was really important to me is making something that was useful in a variety of situations. So I'm just trying to show a bunch of ways you might use this, and here's one of them. Notice again on the front, I've got the 2 clamps at the different levels. That helps keep it more stable. I'm just using this to show the various ways you might decide to use this setup. Now, once I'm done with everything, I can take it all off the top, clean everything off, put it away wherever I have it. And this is easy to take off the bench and put away. I even keep all of the jigs right on there whenever I put it away so I know where they are next time. And here's the space where I keep it. Notice there's a little gap behind the leg against the wall. I just slide that right in and it sits on the floor.